very moment. Thank you very much.
Put your hands together for the executive founder secretary.
That's Yakub Suleiman Alpha, powerful message out there. Let me do a quick summary now, House around it. Takaice ga sarakuna da matasanmu saboda su samu wannan yadda yake. Farko ya ce yana mai matuƙar godiya da ya samu wannan dama. Ya ce me yasa aka kafa wannan kungiyar Journalist Network for Peace and Security. Ya ce saboda aikin jarida na matuƙar kyau kuma shi ne aiki da yake ɗauka ke da ƙasa. Ya ce idan ka duba aikinmu kuma a gefe ɗaya mai kake janyo matsaloli daban-daban. Ya ce akwai ƙasa magana kaɗai ko wani karamin magana da wani ya faɗi ya janyo babban bala'i ya janyo babban magana. Ya ce a bisa hakan ya kamata mu ma bar ƙasa hankali. Ya ce idan ka duba gana akwai buƙatar 'yan jarida suna sa ido aikin gwamnati abinda ake kuɗi na ya shiga abubuwa da ake gwamnati na la'akari ana duba ana tabbatar cewa komai ya samu tafiya da ya kamata. Ya ce kwanakin nan za mu ga cewa 'yan jarida na fuskantar kalubale ba a kare su ana wani lokaci ma kashe wani ɗan jarida har yanzu ga san da magana yake ba. 'Yan jarida na fuskantar matsaloli sa bisa haka ne aka kafa wannan kungiya saboda a rika bitar ayyukan 'yan jarida kuma har da haɗa kai domin a cimma wannan manufa. Ya ce me yasa aka yi wa wannan batu taki na zango, me yasa zango? Ya ce idan ka duba cin zangonninmu a wasu shekaru da suka wuce ba a samu kowane zango da aka ji ayin rigimar siyasa ba, amma maganin da ke faruwa shi ana ɗaukan 'yan zango sai a aiki su zuwa wasu wurare su je su aikata fitina su je su tada zaune sai su je su wani abubuwa da ke kamata ba. Ya ce a bisa haka ne yake da kyau a matsayin su na ƙungiyar jarida su haɗa ƙarfi da ƙarfi su haɗa kai su zo su yi manufa na alheri su zo su yaɗa maganganu na alheri saboda matasa su san cewa wannan al'amarin bai da kyau su guji wannan al'amarin kuma a samu komai da ya tafiya yadda ya kamata. A takaice bayanan Yakub Suleiman Alpha kenan. Kabonati, come and introduce us the next speaker.
I learned something at the community level. Something is called Ataba, right?
Ataba. You say Taba. I told you the last time you said Taba.
I didn't say Taba. Ataba. So we're having TV Africa or Africa TV also joining us. And so ladies and gentlemen, we are going continental, we are going global. Now this person, our first speaker, is a global asset. He started to be a national asset and he's even gone beyond. A few days ago, he was on major media platforms discussing the peace and security and international, politics of the US elections and what it means for Africa. He's been doing this for many years. And ladies and gentlemen, when you talk about peace, security, and you extend it to journalism welfare, you can't talk and not talk about this gentleman's name. He is by name Adib Sani, and he is a security expert. And so we'll have him as our first speaker. We are privileged, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give him a round.
And he also happens to be the head of the TK Security Hub, and he's been doing so well.
Thank you very much, our able moderators. Assalamu alaikum. It feels good to be here, and I must also state that your coming here doesn't mean you don't have anything doing. Everybody has busy schedules, but it's only indicative of your commitment towards ensuring a peaceful Ghana, especially going into the election. Before I get to the nitty-gritty, let me also state that Ghana is a shining example. Since the inception of the Fourth Republic, somewhere around 92-93, we are one of the few countries in Africa that hasn't suffered civil war. We have a fairly free media, and we are one of the few countries where a certain government loses power and hands over to the opposition. Even the US is unable to do that. So that is definitely no mean achievement. But it is also important to note that there are some early warning signs that we need to pay attention to. In security studies, It is called the early warning signals. And it's based on certain indicators within a certain context at this period of time, like going into an election. The Intergovernmental Authority on Development somewhere in East Africa, ECOWAS, AU, and a whole lot of others have the early warning signs for various countries. And when I compare our early warning signs to other countries, such as Kenya, prior to their 2007 elections, Ivory Coast, prior to their 2010 election, that culminated into a civil war in 2011, there are worrying signs. We have serious issues concerning vigilantism. And despite the promulgation of the anti-vigilantism and other related offences law and other electoral laws, and despite the fact that various political parties have appended their signature to various documents reaffirming their commitment to dealing with it, I wish to, without mincing words, say I'm extremely disappointed, I'm appalled by the seeming lack of commitment on the part of political parties to disbanding these groups. These groups are dangerous for our democracy. They are beginning to see themselves as states within the states. They are becoming armed. They are becoming vicious by the day. When you compare our early warning signals to others, there is an issue of the culture of impunity. And in Ghana, we celebrate it. Somebody does the wrong thing just by virtue of the fact that he's from my political party, he is right. We need to be very careful. Then we can talk about the proliferation of small arms and light weapons. According to the Small Arms Commission, over 1.2 million Ghanaians are armed. But last year, only 40,000 of them renewed their licenses. So there are a lot of Ghanaians who hold arms that are not licensed. There are a lot of Ghanaians who hold arms that are from other places through a sophisticated network of traffickers. And most important, the local gun manufacturing industry in Ghana. So there's this report when we are on TV and radio, we always reference by the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping and Training Center that there are over 1.2 million guns in the system. Okay, the news is that figure is from a 2014 baseline survey. So the probability that this number has more than doubled or perhaps tripled is extreme. It's extremely high. So we need to be careful. So I wouldn't talk too much, but let me come home. Zongos play a very critical role so far as harnessing or safeguarding the peace of this country is concerned. Unfortunately, because of some socio-economic lack of jobs, no money, some human insecurities, Zongos are the nurseries for trouble causes. So if I'm a politician and I want to go snatch ballot boxes, my favorite destination is Zongo. Some time ago, we wanted to find out why people amass at the BNI headquarters or at the CID headquarters anytime a political figure is arrested. So we went there, we asked, we saw a lot of them, and most of them Zongos, from the Zongos. Oh, Bamu Yada will not accept. So we asked them, why won't you accept? And trust me, majority of the people we spoke to didn't know why they were there. They didn't know what they were accepting. So I asked, so so you can imagine the level of ignorance. Politicians are friends. After the radio, as if they want to fight, after that they go to beer bars. They laugh. And they even discuss about the schools their children attend. So if because of NDC and NPP you don't talk to your neighbor, you should know that is an exhibition of ignorance. So ladies and gentlemen, we are not enemies. We are just opponents. We need to safeguard the peace. Alpha, I admire his tenacity of purpose so far as programs like this is concerned, and I would want to commend him. Journalists play a very critical role. It is said by Malcolm X that media is a powerful tool. It has the power to make the innocent guilty and the guilty innocent, and that is real power. In recent times, journalists have not been very safe in this country, and I wish to take this opportunity to call on government and other stakeholders to put mechanisms in place. I might not be able to go deep into it. So at least to a very large extent, journalists are safe to do their work, all in the interest of safeguarding the peace and security of Ghana. So I speak peace, I act peace, I expect you to speak peace, I expect you to act peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Alright, let's do it. Once again, put your hands together for Makaba Masa. Adib Sani na taka rongani sosai. A yau da kullum babu tashoshin labarai da baka jin shi. Ɗan zango ne musulmi muna alfahari da shi. Ko ina yana yawo. Marhaba kun ji shi yana Hausa ko ina TV3 ba inda zai shiga. Muna mai fata ne Allah ya kare kiyamu da shi. Ire-iren su muke bukata cikin zango su kama zango ya samu ci gaba. Thank you.
Thank you, Marco. And I have a very important dignitary as we need to acknowledge the president.
Exactly.
This lady is the Director, Communications and Corporate Affairs at the NCCE, National Commission on Civic Education. They do fantastic work. Recently, Marco, we actually called the EC to publish the names of those who...
by extension, we'll invite them to the high table. Madam, with all respect, would you come to the high table? Put your hands together for her.
And they've been very prosperous this year about peace and trying to be a referee, a political referee, to make sure that we have a transparent election. So let's give it up for everyone.
Once again, put your hands together for her. Madam, I know you, but you don't know me.
Oh, please, let's give it up.
I'm sure the time. Alright, so good. So let's call upon Saki Rabiu Modi, Damasani, to also join us onto the high table. Once again, put your hands together for me. One of our finest, Adon Kangadi, President, Zongo Inspiration Team. Presto, Abadan Kangadi, Yakamata Musamiri Shino. Thank you. So, we'll take a solidarity message, Sakuna Musamman, Sarapunam. Zama aka sarakuna su ne suke da unguwanni a bisa haka akwai babban sarki na Yarbawa yana high table sarki mu invite sarki ayyukan sarki mu bukace ka high table mu zo mu tunance kaɗan da za ka yi ma matasa insha Allah ka zo nan put your hands together ta ba masa sarki wai kai Hausa saboda magana ya shiga sosai insha Allah.
Assalamu alaikum jama'a. Sannu da zuwa. Shi wannan taron da muka zo ina tsammani da akwai su manya sarakuna kuma da ke ina fuskamo suna gabana amma sun ba da dama kamar zo tsaya yi magana ne da tafiya. Da zarar zan kara ne shi ne ba su zaman lafiya ita rabu na gani. Yanzu muna cikin shekarar zabe kuma ya kai haka nan kana kare magana da tasowa tashi hankali ko kuma tashi hankali inda ya fara da mu yan zangonne mu ake duba kamar muke fara tashi hankali amma ba ka da bai mutum da ke very unfortunate yanzu a bari shi suna zongo da kanshi an stereotype shi da yake da an ce zongo magana ne ko wani alheri ma da ta zo ma ne ana ganin ba daidai ba ne shi sa mun zo ne ku gara ga matasan mu a yi hakuri don Allah a yi hakuri zongo ba mu zo mu fada ba domin shi zongo da gaji kabilu daban-daban ke ciki amma cewa da mun kabilu daban-daban wurin da sa mun zama daban bane a'a mulkin guda ne Allah ma da kansa da ya halice mutane ya yi kowa ya yi kabilu daban-daban da ya iya gama hankulan a zama ko iri guda a ce ko kwatakwali ne ya zama kwatakwali amma kwatakwali ya ga wangare ya duka yadda za a zama lafiya shara da samu fahimta da juna mu fahimci juna da kyau an so wani abu ne shi mu zo na mu sasanta yadda za a iya yin kyau ke za ka zo aiki ya same mu zaune especially matasa mu suka tashi a wani sun kaman ba kiran mu zongo ba na tashi hankali bane ba tashi hankali bane iyaye mu da aka zo aka zauna unguwa iyaye da ma ka tura iyaye daban-daban aka za ka tsara mu shi sa mun zo zama nan mun zo ne zaman lafiya ba da tashi hankali ba can wani shekara zaɓi da za a yi a dakatar da Allah a yi hankuri wani zai ce ma kai ko mu je mu kaza a kara da Allah bai dace ba kai na ka ta mun kuri kai na ka jefa kawai wanda kake so ka jefa kai ka jefa ka amma ka da ka saya ka duba wanda zai ta a bai dace ba shi za muna roƙon Allah yanzu wani matan mu da mazajen matasa duka a yi abin don Allah in lokaci ake kai a ta komai a sannu kan kwarci haka ne yadda za a yi kar mu je muna ba ta suna shi da dangane da ke don kara cikin magana ke Allah ya taimaka.
Mun gode wato Alhaji Kamaluddin Sada sarkin Yarbawa Aiwa su kenan mun gode sosai Allah ya saka alheri. Mr. Kapanati, come and introduce the next speaker.
Thank you. But Babu, I just realized that the statistics Sani was giving out to me that we are not safe at all. Please, tap the one next to you and say that, please, we want peace, we want peace. Tap the next person that, please, we want peace. Yeah, shake the person. It looks like the person is a bit bored. Really? So, when I say zongo, we say for peace. Zongo. Zongo
for peace.
Zongo
for peace.
Please let's raise our hand and say, I pledge for peace.
I
pledge for peace.
I pledge for peace.
Once again, I acknowledge the presence of the media houses giving us coverage here. TV Africa, Onuya TV, TV3, Bina TV, SMTV, and all the Facebook portals covering this live. Thank you so much.
And of course, before we do go, Star Live Assurance, they are one of our partners and our sponsors. We say thank you. Star Assurance, so to speak, Star Assurance. They're here. If you want to check them out and find out the package they have when it comes to insuring your life, your kids, and yourself, you go to them and they'll tell you more.
Ladies and gentlemen, still in the spirit of gender balance, you can see on the high table that our mother is the only female there. And so we will call her to come and then give us a message from NCC. So ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for her and the good work she's doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity given to NCC to share brief remarks with you. And at least when I came, I've also heard something, so I would like to say, Salaam Alaikum. Yes, I bring you greetings from the chairman of the National Commission for Civic Education, and we are happy to be associated with this conference. When I look at the role, the theme, it says the role of the Zongo community in ensuring a violent-free elections. I must say that every citizen of the Zongo community has a responsibility to ensure that we have violent-free elections because we are all stakeholders. The reason is that what we have at stake and what we have is the 2020 presidential and parliamentary elections. It is not new to us, as the security expert alluded to. It says in Ghana, or the Fourth Republic, this is the 8th time that we are going to elect our presidents and parliamentarians. And we have done it several times, 7 times. And on 3 occasions, we have had one democratically elected government. They've lost the elections and they have handed over peacefully. And it has been the collective effort of all Ghanaians. Secondly, I would like to address the issue of why do we vote? Even why are we voting? Periodic elections and voting is part of our democratic journey that we have taken as a people. And if you look at the reason why we vote, in Article 1 plus 1 of the 1992 Constitution, it says that the power to govern this country or the sovereignty resides with the people of Ghana. So we are supposed to rule ourselves, and we have delegated our power to whoever we elect as a president or an MP to govern on our behalf. And for that matter, we must take keen interest and ensure that we have peace in this election. Secondly, Article 42 also gives us the right to vote, and we need to register and vote. So at this point, if you have not registered, then know that you have lost that right and the power you have to vote and put a government in place. If we don't put a president and MPs in place, there will be chaos. And for that matter, it is very critical for every citizen to exercise that power. And how do we vote? We vote when we are eligible, because Article 42 says that if you are a Ghanaian of 18 years of age or above and of sound mind, you have the right to vote. So you have to be eligible, you have to observe the do's and don'ts of the elections. If you look at Article 41, Clause C, it says that it's the duty of every citizen to foster national unity and live in harmony with each other. How do you live in harmony? You live in harmony where you are tolerant of what? Divergent views. Adib Sani mentioned that your political opponent is not an enemy. It is also a friend, because we are in multi-party democracy. Article 3, Clause 1 says that Parliament has no right to establish a one-party state in Ghana. This means that we are going to have different political parties in Ghana. And anybody who will try to suppress any lawful political activity is unlawful. That is Article 3, Clause 2. So you can say that you won't allow either political parties to come and campaign in your area or wherever you are. You have to allow all of them to campaign. What you have to do is to listen to them. If the messages they are bringing, you think it can represent your interests, or it is among the development priorities that you cherish, then you will make your own informed choice and decide the person you will vote for. So it is not a matter of violence, it is not a matter of peace, it is a matter of what? Violence, and it is a matter of what? Tolerance. You tolerate each other so that we can live in peace. And I must say that it is in peace that we can develop. If we have peace, we can go about our normal duties and we can exercise our rights and perform our obligations. Where there is chaos in other countries, you can see what is happening. They cannot develop, and there will be underdevelopment, and there will be loss of lives and property. So it is the civic duty of every citizen of Ghana and those living in zongo community to ensure that there is peace. And as I end, I must say that the cases of COVID-19 are rising. So let us continue to observe the safety protocols so that we don't see the second wave that is happening in other countries. Thank you very much for your attention.
Once again, put your hands together for him. Thank you for such an insight. As you can see, we have Serki Salis Mode joins us. I want to say thank you. Once again, put your hands together for him. Salis Mode, Serki Samari, Greater Accra. By extension, we invite you to the high table. And also, what he is also chief protocol and the Kia and I must keep always in the high table. I'm saying, Mongo is Sakama, and I'm going to say, go me about Matasa, then I got around. So, Kafina will invite Rabi Modi, President Zongo Inspection Team, and Masani Retaka to share with us something for the youth. Put your hands together for him. Kama Masa.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Da izinin sarakai da maluma na sada gaisuwa zuwa ga manya matasa duka. I want to start by English and then I speak a little bit of Hausa. We need to understand who journalists are. Journalists are probably, from my layman's perspective, trained to take or receive information, process it, and then disseminate it to other people who are not where the action is. It is important to know the action that these journalists take. They have the power, they have the tool to disseminate information. In that same vein, in looking at the people that disseminate information and wield similar power as journalists, we need to look at people like preachers, teachers, community leaders, and even siblings. These people are able to mentor younger people and sort of shape their thinking and the way they act. People listen to their imams and their pastors more than politicians. People listen to their teachers as part of their acculturation in the early stages of life, in school and in other places. It's important that the same power that journalists have, these same people have those kinds of power. It is important that we also add them to the conversation of changing the mindsets of people when it comes to peaceful coexistence and the preaching of peace. It is important that when our ulama go on the pulpits on Fridays, they are able to inculcate or incorporate peaceful messages in their khutbahs. It is also important that on Sundays, when our pastors go to the churches, they are able to inculcate or incorporate peaceful messages in their sermons. It is also important, as a matter of fact, for those who build teaching capabilities, those in primary schools, JSSs and SHSs, and universities to incorporate peaceful messages, peaceful coexistence in their teaching methods, such that all over we have an atmosphere of peace, love, and security wherever we find ourselves. So as Youth President, I would like to dedicate this forum for peaceful coexistence and for us to preach peace wherever we find ourselves. Thank you very much.
Sarki, ka manta kai albarkace kai Hausa an kai turanci da Hausa. A ka zo kai kada. A ba mu yadda ba. Suna jinta matasan wai suna son ka Hausance su. Dan masani ne shi sa dole ya Hausa mun bari ya Hausa dole.
To a takaice ne shine wato inda 'yan jaridu na iya wasar da magana ko lalle dai gaskiya ko karya, ya kamata mu duba waɗanda ke da wannan karfi masu yasu yadar da maganganu shi ne imamai, pastors na coci da kuma waɗanda suke gwada ma ɗalibai abu wato yara. Mun iya mu ba journalist waɗannan karfi su yasu yada magana ko gaskiya ko karya, yan waɗanda ma suke gwada ma yara abu ko kuma waɗanda suke ba da hutuba ko kuma waɗanda suke a coci ma da suke ba da sermons, da su iya kuma su yadar da maganganun da koda yana da gaskiya ko ba gaskiya. Saboda shi wannan karfin ina tambaya malamai and pastors da teachers su iya su kuma su use waɗannan platforms ko kuma fage su iya su yadar da maganganu na zaman lafiya da kuma haɗin kai. Saboda shi, with this said, alhamdulillah, a takaice dai magana da kake da shi ke.
Da yau da akwai magana ke. It's all good, it's all good. Let's continue with our engagement at this juncture. Mun yi Hausa matasa na nan da ƙungiyoyi da matasa mun nemi mazanta da su. Wani darasi lessons ya kamata dukan mu koyi a cikin wannan zama na kira zuwa zaman lafiya da kuma ga cewa zaɓi election na zuwa. Shehu Islam ya suna ka? Abdul Jabbar. To wani darasi wani sun kake koyi?
I think some of the lessons are peace is everything. Without peace, there will be development, there will be opportunities. Our lives as young people will be curtailed. So we can't substitute peace for tyranny. This is the lesson I've learned. Thank you.
So welcome. Thank you. Once again, the Mirage Dates and Cakes. Wazi magana, wasi sampai tadi magana, wajib magana, wani nasi, wajib magana, sauda, wani ni sauda, kita ni sauda ko, to sauda ni nanti si. Opponent shouldn't fight with opposition. One day, when kamu lyrics ni bang, mana?
Because we are all one, so we shouldn't fight with each other.
Mongoli, who chance to get this? I really want to say something. let's engage them small and then before to the next stage. The media, we are here, thank you. So tell us.
I want to say that when we say peace, peace just means that there's absence of war. So then there's tranquility and everywhere is smooth. But then, since this program is centered towards the youth, we are the present and we are also the future. And then we have the human resource that the country needs for the country to progress. So then if the youth, we are not serious and we go and engage ourselves into violence, we are not going to develop. Because the human resource in the country, we can't just end it due to elections. We have to progress. We are not just the future. We have to look at ourselves as the present and also the future. Thank you.
Put your hands together. Fire. Wow. Mama mia. Ladies
and gentlemen, I have a surprise for this lady. So let's clap for him. Ladies and gentlemen, surprise this month. What's the surprise? Ladies and gentlemen, what's the surprise?
And now the headlines. Ghana goes to the polls 2024.
Yes, I know what NDC, the Rabbi to work at the Emadita, Television Drama, Muhammad, after they took them.
I mean, if I knew why I have some, makes sense. It's a Ghana. If they want to see that I'm not finding that I'm covering them. Two access to do, and that team, what will we hear? Some for travel song to come Colonia 2020. And yet, I'm not going to so at the end of the show. Never let us be benefited ever Ryan so about Ryan so about and don't end here.
This is about to be made. The pride of our motherland is our priorities while differences we laid. We fought our way through the shackles of imperialism, colonialism, racism, and then we ain't afraid. So the peace of our nation we won't trade in for position, personal decision, selection or election. For we are one people with a common goal, with a common intention, aiming at the right direction. So we preach for peace before, during, and after. You need that don't mention. But we need to map maintaining objection. This mentality needs to be trashed with immediate rejection, immediate correction. It's not a boxing on the junction. This leads to immediate detention. So, when women start saying so the thing we father so the one sugar bunch. But somebody buys Yasan, she's soon I'm gonna add she. Member we had in case of the cheese, the zongo, the Zamana Amici. Rather, Muna Zuk the Mutuchi. The zoo country, by NCS and the state one that don't want to Italian, Munafuchi.
Different phase. Let me ask you one question. Why are you doing all this?
I'm doing this for the love of my people, my community, and my country. That means being the mouthpiece for the people I love and I care about. See, I was born in the street. Raised in the street, lived in the street, protected by the street, hustled from the street. I'm making it for the street, so I want the best for the street. Simple put, I'm a zongo breed, I'm a zongo born. We won't waste our time to make it for you to break us, we make it happen. Trust me, wait till you are gone. We ain't puppets we use for power, be warned. We will stand for our right from dark to dawn. This is not about politics, it's about Ghana. We are taking the bull by the horn. We don't care whether you're adult or John. We just want our face on the national cake for a job well done. Remember, we want the party shared for you. Let our homes for you. To be present at your rally for you. Scream out your name for you. To boy you responded yay for you. Remember, imagine you sitting without a response for what that means to you. We risk our lives for you. To be there for you. Don't get us wrong, we're supposed to believe in you. Put among ourselves ignorantly because of you, just for you, to get power for you, to silence us from all aspects of good and development for you. If I don't belong to your party, I'm not entitled to a general right from you. The day you are not to political affiliation is the end for you. This is the democracy they fought for us enough of you. To all that roughly the shame on you. Ghana is bigger than you, but I don't blame you, even if some of us stand against you. Some Kokobuti can be possible.
I feel you.
With our taxes, developing the country too is like doing us a favor. I'm pregnant with this issue soon. I get to labor. Kedi came away like a sanenella and a mini raider. Even this I'm just saying my life could be in danger. But let me be the sorry with Antoine and Manzambo. Forgive me, Jehovah, for we need a savior. But first the youth, let's check our behavior.
This is not even political. You are conflated. This is about us, the youth, who have now realized that our leaders have mortgaged our future. Do you expect us to have empathy?
I understand your sentiment. High number in terms of unemployment. Example 0% in terms of development. Who is there to be blamed? The Honorable NPX or current president? Please don't tag us as arrogant. With all due respect, say I want to have a conversation with you, Mr. President. I have some questions and suggestions. I don't understand your government. My voters ID is my appointment. My citizenship is my endorsement. For the youth lies my investment. Arise Ghana Youth for our rights is the new movement. We are holding this with all our strength and God. It's different ways of friends. See why.
Let's give it up. Put your hands together for different faith. All right.
So, if we were artist managers, this is how we will endorse a new artist to the industry. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for him. Now, I brought him up here because he's been very consistent with us. Every community that we went, he was with us. And how did you feel? What was the feeling like in terms of this poem, his words? Very touching, speaking to us. So if you are tired of all the speeches, please, I'm sure you had some sonorous, rhythmic, and quite soothing lines which should tell you that we want peace. Now, I'm also told that he's a fashion designer.
Of course.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm also told that
he's an actor.
He's an actor.
Both stage and on screen.
And a rapper too. Let's give it up for him. Let's give it up for him.
But find out from him, how does he combine all of these? I mean,
let's hear that.
Something else.
I must say my strength is in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what I do is in the field of fashion, I recruit and train the youth in our community in fashion for free.
For free? Wow, put your hands together for that.
And then to me, it's a way of giving back to my society because the strength lies in the youth. I love the youth. Everything I do is for the youth, it's for the streets, it's for the zongo that I'm coming from. But what I want us to understand is that the youth, we need to understand that if you don't give back what we have, it will just stay within us and it will die there. With our sheikhs and our chiefs, they are doing their best, but the strength lies within us. But understand that don't be used as a tool to create violence.
Thank you.
And let them know, we want them to understand that our zongo is much more priority than anything else in the world. So if they think they can come to us the time they need us, they will learn to understand that today we stand for our right and we're going to stand and make sure that we get what we want. We don't care whether you're Ado or John. We don't care.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And then of course, what he said really means well. I mean, I always say this, and this is the second time I'm saying this. During I was in West Woburn. I was there as a reporter, and this is what happened. When I went there, at the time, the violence and the shooting hadn't started yet. So I was just there, and I saw some cars parked, dressed in the khakis, these guys dressed in the khaki. Some of them have covered their faces and all of that. And then somebody just touched me at my back, and I think, about meaning what? Meaning, then I said, what? Yeah, if I were, and said, we are here to do some operation, so you just go back there and stay there. We were here. And then another person also walked to Jack, but for him, I know him. I know him very well, I don't want to disclose his identity. And he also said the same thing. So I went back and stand and I was watching everything live. Gave it to the MP, started shooting and all of that. We were there, I saw everything. It was our own people, and that's what we're talking about. Our own people are being used to perpetrate such crimes. Exactly. And it's sometimes it's sad.
Ladies and gentlemen, to
let's give it
up for him. Let's give it up for him as he comes in. To sum it all, he is our main man, and we are privileged to have him. He is our keynote speaker, and I'm sure in the Muslim community and fraternity, we hold him in high esteem. He is our mentor, a spiritual father, and speaks to our spirit. You've been spoken to your flesh, you've been spoken to your mind. Now we want to speak to your spirit. Ladies and gentlemen, to do us the honors is our very own Saki Salisu Maudi.
Saki Salisu Maudi. Saki Salisu Maudi. Put your hands together. Come on, sir. And the yes.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Najibe late Adaime Afua Bazo da wuri na samu sunan dignitaries in the Jinamba. Bisa na yi sallama zuwa ga mu duka da fatan an yi min afuwa kuma ci gaba da aikin da ya kawo mu nan. A turanci shi mu ce all protocols duly observed. Domin ban kama sunan kowa ban adresin su individually ba. Ko da yake na ga sarki na Papa Riski. To turanci zan yi ko Hausa zan yi?
Turanci sai ka Hausance su.
Bari yi turanci kaɗan saboda dandalin sada labaran da suke nan gabaki ɗaya. Okay, to start with, why is it that every time, or why is it that we only talk about peace when elections are just around the corner? Why don't we make it continuous? Because peace is an everyday thing. There is no occasion for peace. If we enjoy peace all the time, then it means that society is functioning very well as well. But there is a reason why we choose an occasion very close to the electioneering campaign period or the election period itself to emphasize on the importance of peace. Because my observations and the observation of a lot more people is that we are more fragile when it gets to this period. Why? Because we do not understand partisan politics. Politicians will just come and tell us what they want and even incite us to bring our ugly side. But they do not preach peace so that we actually understand what peace is and actually understand the fact that your opponent is not necessarily an enemy. Because if we follow what we are supposed to follow very well, what it means is that we are all going to one destination. But one group believes that we should take the left road to that destination, and the other group equally believes that we should take the right road to that destination. That is debatable these days. Why? Because most of us are of the opinion that politicians are in there to serve their own selfish interest. So some of us have made it our work as equal stakeholders to make sure that we do the work that the politicians seem to ignore, which is what? Preaching peace. The peace as we see it, if I look at the demography, myself included, we've not actually seen what war is like before. But we some from my generation have seen what a not so peaceful society can bring. Because some of us growing up in the early 80s, we saw what political disruptions or intervention really looked like. Can you imagine having to queue to buy your staple like keke, fufu or mango? Can you imagine having to go and put money down, a deposit, just so you can feed your family lunch? Can you imagine being restricted? Don't come out. I know you enjoy sitting late at night at your attire meetings and all those things. Can you imagine being restricted? Can you imagine someone telling you that you can't go and pray your Zuhur or Asr prayers or Maghrib in the masjid because you are restricted? The freedom, the social freedom that you have, the religious freedom, that it will all be curtailed and restricted if we do not allow peace to prevail. The businesses as entrepreneurs that you are developing today will not even have the condition to thrive. So when we look at all of this, we emphasize the importance of peace, not only because we love saying it, but we want people to understand the magnitude of its absence. And I don't think, like I always put it, I don't think we felt it before. But let me just read something that I have written down here. When peaceful conditions prevail in the society, all activities take place in their proper order. The proper order of society is disrupted when peace is tampered with, like I have just emphasized. Islam teaches us to be peaceful in coexistence. Every religion advocates peace, and this makes it a good enough reason for all of us to learn to create an environment conducive for peace. What is our responsibilities in ensuring that there is peace before, during, and after the electioneering process? We've realized the emergence of the social media now. So what it means is that more than before, you are playing a significant role. We are not leaving it for journalists, network for peace and security alone to do the work. We've all become journalists by virtue of the handsets we all hold. So we post on social media handles. How responsible are we in the information we share or churn out? Do you realize that we also have a bigger responsibility in ensuring peace by what you post on social media handles? Maybe we've not given it that necessary attention. But this is the time we need to consider all of this. We have a bigger role in ensuring the peace. Gradually, we have moved from being recruited to go for disruptions at voting centers, because we've realized that if we do not take time, we'll end up losing our lives. Are you prepared to lose your life in safeguarding the interest of a politician who doesn't necessarily care what you're going through? No, we've gone past there. But the challenges we are facing now is the information dissemination we are sharing on our various social media platforms. It's our responsibility to ensure that we are sending out responsible information. So if someone decides to type that, oh, MPP is stealing the election at polling station ABCDYZ, it is not our responsibility to share similar information, because we do not have the information. We don't know whether it is whether it's or not. Let's look at what is happening in America today. Even the sitting president tweets, and the tweet is being flagged as being misinformation. So we are all not out of this. So we need to be fully responsible for the actions we take on the social media. And then the other point I would want to make is that when you go out there on election day, you vote, you make sure you go back home and continue your daily businesses. There is no need staying around. It's not your work. You're not going to count the votes. If you do not have any electioneering duty on that day, you have no business staying there. Just go home. It is part of keeping the peace. if you feel like observing the counting, when it is time to count, you can come and stay at a distance to count. Because it is actually a criminal offense if you disrupt the election officials. You could end up in jail as well. So the importance of maintaining the peace before, during, and after the electioneering process is very important. It's very, how do I put it? It's very important. The importance of maintaining that peace is very important for our own personal development as well. Then we look at food security. No, let's just leave it, because I'm just looking at the disadvantages of not maintaining the peace. I think we know that by now. So I would want to emphasize more on maintaining the peace and how vulnerable we can be in the society. The last point I would want to make before I take my seat is that look out for the most vulnerable groups amongst you. On the day of election, if there is any help you want to give to someone who is not able to transport themselves to the voting center, you can do that quietly. Help them. Children who are not supposed to vote, discourage them. It's our responsibility, like I said, it's our responsibility. I don't know what most of the speakers have already given, but I don't want to be. I was following some of the proceedings on social media. I don't want to be going into what they have already said. So I realized that they have captured most of the things I put down there, so you can realize the inconsistencies in my delivery. It's just that I'm trying to take most of it off, because I prepared a speech and I wouldn't want to bore you with reading it. I've decided to do it extemporally and then mixing with the notes that I have here. So all in all, it is very important and vital for us to be key players in ensuring peace before, during, and after the electioneering campaign. Why the Zongo community? Because rightly or wrong, they have created an impression that most of the troubling spots are the Zongo communities. Right or wrong? I've never read or seen Lima, Mamobi, Newtown having been a troubling spot before. But every time the election comes up, they mention us. Why? Because they have somehow realized that there are a lot of idle hands in our communities. We are not the only ones who are idle. But then for some reason, this tag is trying to stick. What do we do to change this? Let's ensure that we play a very significant role in ensuring the peace, and hope that journalist peace for network and security will give us the right reportage to the extent that we change this perception. And then when the next electioneering period comes, people from other communities will come to us and ask us how we did it. I'll end it all here and allow the program to go on. Thank you very much.
A gurguje kaɗan daga cikin maganar da sarki ya ce in lokacin zaɓe kai me yasa kullum ake batun zaman lafiya lokacin zaɓe kai. Ya ce batun zaman lafiya da abu ne da ya kamata ana yin shi kullum ko da yaushe, idan kama kaza zaman lafiya, kaza zamantakewa zaman lafiya, da miji zaman lafiya, ko mi zaman lafiya, amma bai yasa lokacin zaɓe zo ake cewa a yi zaman lafiya, a yi zaman lafiya. Ya ce akwai abu guda shi ne an gano cewa lokutan zaɓe mutanen Ghana da rauni kan cewa wani abu kaɗan ya kan iya tansila mutum ya aikata ba daidai, wani abu kaɗan ya kan iya sa mutum ya aikata ba daidai ba. Ya ce abin da ya sa kenan yake wannan kira yake da matuƙar muhimmanci. Ya ce kuma idan tafiya na gano cewa yana akwai buƙatar mu 'yan zango mu san muhimmancin zaɓe da kuma muhimmancin zaman lafiya, kan cewar in mun yi komi ƙarshen mu kanmu zai kare, kuma mun yi abu wanda ya kamata mu dan kanmu ne za mu ci amfani. A bisa haka ya ce idan kuka duba lokacin zaɓe kai akan yi ɗaukan mu je ma'aikata ba daidai ba. Ya ce waɗannan abubuwa su samu ne a daina shi a wulgi da shi. ba abu ne mai kyau ba. Ya ce lokacin zaɓe kai ya kamata ya ce sun mu rika ma junan fata alheri ga manya sarakuna kowa ya taimaka a yi a kwantar da hankali saboda a yi zaɓe lafiya kuma a gama lafiya. Takaice maganar da ya faɗi kenan. Let me also take the opportunity, we have our sponsors, people who have, so to speak, donated some cash or kind as far as this program is concerned. We have Star Assurance. Star Assurance has been very, very helpful. We also have Star Life Assurance. They also have been very, very helpful. Of course, our keynote speaker, Serki Salis Modi, has been so much supportive. Once again, put your hands together for him.
Well deserved. And of course, our media partners, SMTV, Bayern TV, TV Africa, TV3, Omea TV, and any other person who may have contributed.
MSTV.
Exactly. So, Marco, I think
I guess we're done.
Yes, we're done. So let's just invite our sister Asma.
Binta, you
give us, the
vote of thanks.
Vote of thanks. And then
Put your hands together for a couple.
Assalamu alaikum once again. It's such a privilege and an honor to do the welcome address and then have the other privilege again to do a vote of thanks. I'm super excited. I am for peace, and I believe that we are all for peace, inshallah, as we have made a pledge. It's not just by raising our hands, but actually committing our hearts to the peace. And there is a famous quote that I personally love, is that it's not enough that we talk about peace, we want peace, but actually each and every one of us should contribute to the peace process in one way or another. As young people, we have the opportunity to be on social media. In one way or another, we can share the peace message. We can ensure that our comments, our statements, our contributions when we talk about peace is actually peaceful and not inciting violence. We can ensure that we are more tolerant, and as our leaders are doing in their own capacity to support us on the pulpits, in the churches, in the masjids, on the member, as they continuously talk about peace, I think what is necessary is that we are actually acting out the peace message. And so as we live here today, before I give the thanks to, first of all, we give glory to Almighty Allah for leading us through this beautiful and amazing sitting together and discussion and conference as we have started, and we hope to continue with this conference. I want to give a very big thanks to our coordinator who started this whole initiative, Yakub, and if he's around here, I would love to have him stand next to me because he's been amazing in this process. Even when we get so tired, he was still pushing through, and he ensured that we put together. So let me invite everyone to give a big round of applause for Yakub. He has done so much to put together this amazing conference. And also to our, yes, he's right here, and also to our amazing youth chief, Serki. We've been going in and out his office, having amazing conversations, and he was always in for us, always had time even when he was so busy. Thank you so much, Serki, for supporting us to put together this. To all our chiefs, thank you so much. It's always so pleasing to my heart when we invite you and we have you next to us. We know how honorable you are and how much time you don't have on your hands. So for coming here today, thank you so much for being here. To the representative from the National Commission for Civic Education. Interestingly, we actually have two representations, one from the national and the other from the regional. So we appreciate those, the opportunity to our brother from Brother Sani, and to everybody who is here today. Thank you so much. Yes, the Council of Zongo Chiefs, I can't mention everybody.
The list is tall.
Yes, the list is such a long one.
Yes.
Yes. We thank everybody. Stand up for shots, of course, for giving us those stuff. Thank you so much, everybody.
Let's clap for them. Thank you so much, Asma. I've also got to acknowledge the media coverage of Max TV. And we have Charles and his team here holding this down. So thank you so much, Max TV, and Charles and your team. Babu.
Of course, before we do the closing prayer, I want to entreat all and sundry who are here this goodwill message. WhatsApp it, let it go all out. Let everybody know and understand that we stand for peace and will continue to promote peace. Thank you. So,
Babu, I've been told that there's no refreshment. Is there a temptation around? Or there's not?
Of course, it should be a temptation.
So, ladies and gentlemen, don't go right away with yours. Make sure you take a bite.
Kira Sarki Abdulmumin Jowasa ya zo muna addu'a ta da taro mun gode sosai. Sarki Abdulmumin zai zo muna addu'a.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. Bayan mun gode da Allah, mun gode ga wanda suka doki nauyin wannan program muka fara da bismillah kuma za mu da kashi da kashi. Mun gode. Kafin dai yaduwa zai yi magana kadan ga wani wannan program na gan muhimmanci sosai. Ya kamata gobe ci za mu wanga program a bude an da kyau a kara mutane wanda su ya kamata su a ji wannan zance ko da ce ba mu rena wanda suka zo nan ba amma da ke a bude shi da kyau special tun abin zango ne mu yan zangonnin mu kokari mu zo nan don mu zo nan wanda ya kamata su ji wannan program ba su nan ya kata suna nan ba ba ta lokaci ba mun gode da wanda suka sponsor special shi sarki samari mu na gari Allah saka mai Allah ta zamanin shi ina ce kuma zuwa nan da aka zo ba acknowledge sarki Hausawan Mamobi ba sarki Swala Mahmud ina tare da mu nan sarki Swala Mahmud za ka tara mu jama'a su ganka shi sarki na karshe da shi gona sarki Zakari na Yarbawa kina Accra New Town sarki Yarbawa kina na Accra New Town ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ربنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة على النبي الكريم.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We have started for the national anthem. Wherever you are. God bless our homeland Ghana and make our nation great and strong. Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of the Zongo Peace Conference brought to you by the Generalist Network for Peace and Security, supported by Star Assurance and all our media partners. We had media coverage on Match TV, we had some from SMTV, Boyman TV, we had TV3, we had partnership from the National Commission for Civil Education. We also have our own brother, Mr. Sani here, very expert, educating us. We also have support from Saki Salisu Maudi, the office of the various summits and zongo chiefs. Ladies and gentlemen, we use this opportunity to be taking some photographs. And so please, all photographers should come into the middle. All photographers should come into the middle.
Please, we're taking pictures. As some of you come forward, we want to have a picture. And of course, our chiefs. Is that good?
Ladies and gentlemen, please, all the photographers, please come into the process. All the media houses who want to make an interview, wait behind. Let's have a picture to take, and then we can engage the media afterwards. Before we drop an interview, so that we can spread the message of peace.
Please, let's take them fast so that we allow the media to have the engagement. The photographers, if you're ready, let's do the picture of all. Can you help us move the podium?
The reason why you're not here,
let's stand for peace. Don't keep it to yourself. The people who commit violence or have the act of committing violence are not here with us. You are better than you. Please do not keep it to yourself. Spread it across. God bless us all. My name is Kabonate, and I've been doing this with my senior brother. I'm glad you were there. Bye.